Welcome to the very first class on reactive documents. In this class, we're going to have a look at how we can build reactive documents for a single page application like a website. And the basis for this is to think about how we can replicate some of the ideas that are used within the Tangle JavaScript library. Now, in this class, we're going to build everything in CodePen. And we're going to be using Mithril.js as maybe hinted at the back. And there's some questions you might ask immediately. One of them is, since there's already this JavaScript library, why can't we just use this one? Well, the simple answer to that is this library hasn't been updated in many, many years. And there are, quite frankly, newer technologies and newer approaches for generating both static and dynamic content that you might want to use on your websites. Now, the follow-up question you might have is, why Mithril.js? Why not something like React or something that is more Node or NPM based? And the simple reason is I believe in the accessibility in terms of I want people to be able to build applications in a very dynamic way and without relying on complex tooling. So we're actually going to build all of our products using CodePen. We're not going to be relying on Node or NPM or have any kind of complicated package management. So let's see how we go and do that. Let's have a quick look at Mithril.js and how we might set it up, and also the CodePen environment within our first lesson. So within Mithril.js, the easiest way to get started with CodePen is we simply just open the Mithril scaffold. So let's just run this and edit on CodePen. So to start off with, there's a few components to think about, and there's a few things that I want to call your attention to. Firstly, if we look at how this part is set up, we can actually just add the Mithril.js script to the CodePen itself. It's already been added for us because we just copied it from the Mithril.js site. I'm going to change this HTML preprocess in Markdown, and I'll go into a bit of detail why in just a second. So first and foremost, from the default way of doing Mithril.js, there isn't a separation between the static documents that you might want to use and also the dynamic documents that you might want to use. Instead, everything is thrown into one big document. So for example, if I want to create a new heading, so my first app, when this is run, you will see that everything is overwritten by Mithril.js. So to get started, what I actually want to do is I want to demonstrate how you can separate these two ideas. So the one way to do that is you can create a new element within the HTML portion which will separate the static and dynamic parts. To do that, I'm going to use the method get element by ID, and I'm going to call this app for argument's sake. Now you can see immediately that the hello world disappeared because, well, we don't have an element that has an ID of app. So let's just create that. So once we've created this, we should hopefully see a hello world appear, and also we can add some other static information at the bottom. So there you have it. This is the very first simple Mithril.js application that we have, and we can start to begin to understand how we can combine some static content with some dynamic content in a separated way. And this is a very important notion when we build our reactive documents. Thanks for watching the very first class within this course, and in the second class we will have a look at how we can start building up simple forms to deal with reactive documents.